Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Monday, May 12th, 2025. Today is officially the first day of the Diddy Trial. They began the jury selection process last Monday, May 5th, 5-5, while he was 55 years old. And now it gets underway on 12/5. We'll bring it together. They're saying there's going to be two victims the trial's focused on. And think about how over the last amount of months since his September 16th arrest, you've heard all of these accusations, allegations, 9-year-old, preteen, this age, that age. There's been so many stories like this, but now here's the trial, and it's focused on two people. And the one who it's been centered on the whole time, Cassie, and a Jane Doe. So Cassie and a very anonymous person, to make a long story short, I told you why he was arrested on the day, leaving 106 days left in the year, because in Gematria, Cassie equals 106 like black. Today's 106 days from Cassie's upcoming birthday that the trial officially begins, and they're saying she is supposed to take the stand today. So we'll talk more about that. Trump is signing an executive order today, or reportedly already has, to drastically reduce the price of medication, over-the-counter drugs, prescription drugs. Pretty interesting. It's like, why didn't you do this the first term? If it was this simple to just sign an executive order to drastically reduce the price of drugs, why not do this long ago? I feel like if I was president of the United States, I would have done that a long time ago. People pay crazy money for their prescription drugs in this nation. It's been known to be ridiculous for a long time, but yeah, we're going to look at the timing of this on the 132nd day of the year. Signature thing. A lot of people say maybe this is the best thing he's done since he became president. But on the 132nd day of the year, this news comes. First split-term president in 132 years. 132 rooms in the White House. We'll take a look. Today, the majority of the world writes 12/5. Remember how China had a 125% tariff rate on the U.S.? And then on 12/5, they reach a deal. Again, it's all news by the numbers. It's all high ritual. We'll talk more about it. Trump having a big day on the 132nd day of the year. Trade deal with China. Executive order to lower drug costs. Going on a trip to the Middle East where the oil comes from. Oil being the blood of the world's economy. And also even reportedly being gifted an Air Force One worthy Boeing 747 from Qatar. And that reminds me, do you remember last year in December when you had on Jake Gyllenhaal's 44th birthday, you had the plane crash on the Buffalo Bills property? And we're like, it's like Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal movie about a plane crash on his property that came out right before 9/11. A different Donnie Trump. I'm thinking about where this storyline could be going. If you missed my work on Jake Gyllenhaal, I said how it was pointing to Air Force One and the Donald who was about to take office again. So find this interesting about a president potentially using Air Force One, a plane for Air Force One that was gifted from the Middle East. When you think of Middle East, you think of planes, you probably by default think of 9/11. We're just days after the anniversary of Osama bin Laden's reported killing in Pakistan, as Pakistan and India, they have a truce for the moment, but they're on the verge of a much bigger war. The trade deal made the market shoot up today. We'll see if it stays in that direction or if there might be a few more surprises along the way with this whole tariffs fiasco. And then yesterday, Sunday, if you missed the news, Zelensky and Putin, they're going to have a meeting on Mercuralia, the anniversary of Donald Trump becoming the father of the jam. Take a look at that. And then also, I caught this headline yesterday on a Sunday. 21 days later, Nike remains virtually silent on alleged funding of trans youth study. The 21's funny there. We'll come back to that. But yeah, right here. The two Diddy victims that the trial focus on. I mean, the last, how many months since September up to now? It's nearly 8 months later. How many stories have there been in the last 8 months with all these supposed victims and accusers? I mean, it's crazy how many people they had, making it seem like this man had wrongfully done God knows how many people. But now here's the trial, and they're focused on Cassie and a Jane Doe. I mean, that should tell you what a load of BS really your news is day after day. This is all the kind of stuff they've been reporting on, and now here we are. And we know the whole story is a joke, but again, we got two accusers. So if you missed my work the day he got arrested, the big focus was the day leaving 106 days left in the year, how important that was, how it was perfectly synced with Cassie. And now, again, the trial begins, and she's expected to take the stand today 106 days before her birthday. I mean, is that not more perfect evidence of how this is nothing but number ritual? And with regards to number ritual, remember what the Gematria value of numerology is. Again, if you're new here, the practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Kabbalah, is Gematria, or Gematria, however you want to say it. There's 50 different words to say this word. It's a foreign word. The point is, it is the practice of coding numbers into words. And just with regards to the tariffs, you saw Trump put 145% tariffs on China, and China retaliated by putting 125% tariffs on the U.S. And now here we are on 12/5, where they reach a deal. But again, the four ciphers, the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. The reverse alphabetic order, Z is 1 back to A is 26. And again, when I first learned about this, all of a sudden it dawned on me, I was like, no wonder there's an alphabetic order. I didn't realize that older alphabets had this practice of coding numbers into words, and this is an ancient concept, but it explains why we learn the alphabetic order. The only thing they don't teach us is the numbers behind each word and how the value of these words are used ritualistically by the governing authority on a daily basis. But anyway, the four ciphers: alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Numerology 55. Diddy's trial begins on May 5th while he's 55. Again, the last lawsuit before the arrest from Don Richard in a major 55 ritual, as we covered at the time, 55 days before Diddy's 55th birthday. And again, MTV equals 55, where their connection is with Making the Band, which is also 55. In case you forgot that. MTV 55, Making the Band 55. But yeah, again, the jury selection begins on 5/5 while he's 55. The trial officially begins on 12/5. Numerology. The practice of coding numbers into words is historically Jewish numerology. As we pointed out, when this arrest happened, it was synced with the Pope and the Superior General. Today is 181 days after the Superior General's birthday. The guy with the biggest Jesus piece in the world, Diddy's number 2. 181 is the 42nd prime. Puff Daddy equates to 42. And look at the overlap again with Puff Daddy and Freak-Offs, right? This triple overlap in the three ciphers, Puff Daddy, Freak-Offs. Again, today's 181 days after the Superior General's birthday. That's the 42nd prime number. What a perfect day for the trial to begin. And today does have 26 date numerology that the Diddy trial begins. Diddy's got that 26 connection. It's a span of 177 days to Diddy's upcoming birthday. The Jesuit order 177. There were a lot of 201s in his arrests, in case you weren't here at the beginning. I just did a video the Sunday before last, May 4th. So many 201 rituals with Diddy leading up to this moment. Again, the Jesuits gave us the language and the calendar and are who really stand behind the rituals. Today's also 360 days after the Cassie beating video was released by the numbers, like the full degrees in a circle. We're coming full circle. Now the trial begins. Cassie takes the stand. But yeah, again, with regards to it being 106 days before her upcoming birthday and his arrest being on the day leaving 106 days left in the year. Remember, his arrest was also 56 days after the anniversary of No Way Out, his 97 album that came out after Biggie died. Remember, the word black is 106. Black Lives Matter is 106 and 259. Today's 259 days after Cassie's last birthday. 106 days to her upcoming birthday. September 16th is typically the 259th day of the year, leaving 106 remaining. That's the day Diddy was arrested. Again, 56 days after the anniversary of his last album. Frank Lucas, who his father worked for, also 106. So, again, just we made a big point about his arrest date having the huge 106 connection. Again, just to remind you, he was arrested 49 days before his own birthday, like Bad Boy and Puff are 49. Cassie Ventura is also 49. The feds got him. Washington and America, 49. We told you a year in advance, or at least I told you a year in advance, why he would go down to age 54 and how it would connect with his father's death in 72. Again, Jesuit order numbers. Arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan. Manhattan's associated with the Department of Homeland Security due to 9/11. Again, arrested in Manhattan by the Department of Homeland Security. His lawyer has the 72 connection. But yeah, right here was the exact point we were making about his arrest. Typically, the 259th day of the year, leaving 106. Black Lives Matter, I Can't Breathe, Black, Frank Lucas, Cassie. So here we are today. Exact same thing. Exact same thing. The arrest was also 22 days after Cassie's birthday. Bad Boy's also 22. The beating video came out on 17/5. The arrest was 175 days after his home was raided on the anniversary of Biggie's Life After Death album. So, if you missed the video I did on May 4th, I would go back and watch that video. There's a lot of information in that video, and I could have even gone further, but there was plenty. Remember, Biggie's song Juicy got banned from the radio after 9/11 because it said blow up like the World Trade. Now the trial begins in the month of Biggie's birthday anniversary. And I do wonder if 9 days from today, it'd be not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, I wonder if that's a crucial day in the trial. Biggie's birthday anniversary. If Biggie were alive, he would have turned 53 years old come May 21st this year. Yeah, the arrest had the 9/11 parallels. 119 days after Big's birthday was September 16th, which was also just 5 days after the September 11th anniversary. Yeah, just all these jokes. Lil Rod accusing Diddy of having a little pecker. Lil Rod said he had a little rod. I mean, the whole thing's just been one big numerological joke. And you have so many people that the jokes are just going over their head every single day, which is why we're here, trying to help people catch up with the cabal that mocks people with what they don't know. All right, this thing about the executive order for drastically reducing drug prices, I mean, I got to say, I don't know. It seems like a great idea. I'm sure people are going to come out and say, oh, by doing this, it's drastically going to reduce the funds for research and development. Again, I don't want to hear all that noise. These companies make so much money. Spend your profits on research and development. But look at this. On the 132nd day of the year, prescription drug prices coming down 30 to 80% immediately, according to Trump. On the 132nd day of the year, look how prescription drug prices equals 132, like United States of America, the nation that pays more than anybody. Trump tweeted this yesterday that he was going to sign this today, which he did. Yesterday was the 131st day of the year when he announced on social media that he's going to do this today. Pharmacy 131, the price is coming down at the pharmacy. The word pharmaceutical, interestingly enough, is also 131, forwards and backwards. Puppet Trump doing something to... And again, they got to come with some good news because Friday the headline was that Trump's planning to raise taxes. So, you know, a lot of people didn't like to hear that. Well, a lot of Americans are highly dependent on drugs, so reducing prices, maybe it's seen as a balance with the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. Some people aren't going to have the ability to access doctors and drugs. Maybe if prices are drastically cut, it'll help those people out. It's some sort of balancing act here, it seems, based on what happened prior. And how about that shot? Did you guys see in baseball that the Padres blew out the Rockies 21-0 on Saturn's Day? Again, Saturn equals 21. Saturn, hey, look at all the 21s that played in baseball on Saturday. We had a stellar day on Saturn's Day. 21 always plays hard on Saturday, but it was especially over the top. But you got to love how they show the pitcher jersey 47 as well. Speaking of Saturn and 21, Nike symbol, the swoosh, is a ring of Saturn. Again, Saturn equals 21. 21 is the sixth triangular number, like Saturn is the sixth planet. That means if you add 1 through 6, it equals 21. But Nike equals 21, Saturn 21. 21 days later, Nike remains virtually silent on alleged funding of trans youth study. This story actually came out on a Sunday, the following day. Sunday also equates to 21. So does Jesuit. Remember, the first Jesuit pope was born on Saturnalia. But yeah, fitting related rituals there. The 21 runs by the Padres on the Rockies on a Saturn's Day, which brought about this story about how the Rockies fans want the team to transfer ownership. But of course, the Rockies come back after getting beat 21-0 and win 9-3 on a Sunday. Sun 93 million miles away. We had that yesterday too. Had the Rockies upset, big payout. They had the numbers to do it. They had the Sunday numbers. That said, there was no bragging rights yesterday in baseball. It was like the worst day of the season yesterday, outside of a few games, including the Rockies game, which was a big payout. I was quite shocked with the way baseball went yesterday. Playoffs were good, though. NBA playoffs was nice again. Anyway. Yeah, just this thing with the tariffs today, drastic reduction by the Trump administration. And again, a clear numerology ritual. It's 12/5. China had 125% tariffs on the U.S., where the U.S. had 145% on China. I mean, and now just, following the numbers, 12/5, they reach a deal. And it sounds like the tariff rate has gone down to 10% for each nation, if I read correctly. By the way, today's date numerology is 17, which breaks down to 8. This is how they do it today. Trump's 17th week back in office to focus on Middle East trip. Admin leaders ironing out China trade talks. President Donald Trump's 17th week back in the Oval Office will see him focus on his visit to the Middle East, which will mark the first major overseas trip of his second term. President Trump will return to the Middle East to re-emphasize his continued vision for a proud, prosperous, and successful Middle East, where the United States and Middle Eastern nations are in cooperative relationships and where extremism is defeated in place of commerce and cultural exchanges, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said Friday. So those remarks from last week. This trip ultimately highlights how we stand on the brink of the golden age for both America and the Middle East, united by a shared vision of stability, opportunity, and mutual respect. The president greatly looks forward to visiting with our brave men and women in uniform at our U.S. Air Base in Qatar throughout this trip. Yesterday, this was the headline yesterday about reducing China's tariffs on the U.S. by 115%. They had that up on the front page of Fox News yesterday. I was like, how don't people see this? It's the 11th of May, 115, reducing 115%. This is what Trump was posting on his social media yesterday. So if you missed out on all the tariff coverage so far, remember they were saying trade war on April 2nd. The word war itself is 42. Tariffs has the 34 connection. It started out with initially 34% additional tariffs the U.S. put on China and the China put back on the U.S., causing the market to go way down on the 3rd of April. Again, everything is being executed by a very obvious numerological code. You learn Gematria, it becomes even more clear. Because imagine you don't have the Gematria piece. You're like, okay, 34%, and then the market comes way down on the 3rd day of the 4th month. If you're looking at that without Gematria, you're saying, okay, I see some numerology in that. But then you learn this piece and you say, oh, tariffs, 34, oh. And don't forget, Trump, his first round of tariffs, 47 months after his last round of tariffs, February 1st was the 47th day of the Pope's age, exactly 47 weeks after the publishing anniversary of Adam Smith's Wealth of the Nations, which condemns tariffs. Of course, Trump also equals 47 like tariffs. Trump's in his number 47. He's going tariff crazy. Again, just obvious ritualism. And realize, in all this bouncing of the market, a lot of money has been made by the people who control the rituals. They make money on the way down. They know exactly the right moment to buy back in to capitalize on the way up. They are performing the rituals that benefit them. For the person who just sits there and just rides it out, it creates some unnecessary stress in the process of the roller coaster. But yeah, ultimately, it's the people at the top who control the rig game that are benefiting from this, while other people are losing hair. That's what people need to understand. This thing about the plane being gifted from Qatar, it just reminded me of, because they're saying Trump says he wants to use it for Air Force One. I'm just thinking of this. Because when this happened, again, Jake Gyllenhaal's 44th birthday. By the way, the leader of Qatar is 44 years old right now. But again, this happened on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday. A Buffalo Bill had a plane crash on his property. Remember, the story is Trump tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, but they rejected his offer, which caused him to run for president. Now he rides around on Air Force One. Trump became the 44th person to be U.S. president when he became number 45, because there was a split term with Grover Cleveland, which threw off the count. So these are all the things we're talking about. 44 is this fateful number. Hold on, I'm going to scroll down here. The film Donnie Darko came out in the start of 2001. The movie has a lot to do with a plane crash. Donnie Darko's home was in East Aurora in the film, which equals 119, like it released on 119, essentially the reflection of 911. Here we are in the time of the 119th Congress, which is the 88th composite number. Jake Gyllenhaal's full name, Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal, 88, like Trump's 88. The film Donnie Darko is political, and it has to do with the 88 election. And the 88 election is what gave us George Herbert Walker Bush, who was running after 8 years of Reagan. He was Reagan's vice president, so it was essentially an extension of the Reagan administration. And that presidency, he didn't win re-election. Clinton beat him because they said what did Bush in was having to raise taxes after he said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." And now Trump is saying he wants to raise taxes. So that was the headline on Friday. And of course, he already has raised taxes because tariffs are taxes. The media acts like that's not the case, but that's exactly what tariffs are. They're a form of taxation. So it's a major tax has been imposed. However, with this big trade deal today, it looks like it's not going to be as substantial as it was, just a 10% increase, which is still 10% still substantial, but it's not 145%. It's not 125%. Remember, this is part of the reason that we said 2025 was going to be full of plane crashes, or potentially it was going to be, and it has been, because 97 is the 25th prime. You see how Gyllenhaal and plane crash have this perfect overlap since this happened on his birthday, the star of Donnie Darko. He is the character that's Donnie Darko. The Buffalo Bills player who's had his house crashed on, his name is Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins, Donnie Darko, DD44. Gyllenhaal's 44th birthday, right before the 44th person to be president retakes office. And then what I also pointed out is it was 188 days after Trump's birthday, which went with Air Force One, went with the Illuminati connection. For anyone who'd roll their eyes at the Illuminati connection, you must not have been with us the other weekend on Patreon, where we cashed on the Kentucky Derby again, and largely because of this number right here. The winning horse had won 188 days earlier at Churchill Downs, and all 19 horses were offspring or relatives of the 19-year-old. They weren't technically offspring, but they're all descendants of 19-year-old Secretary who died 188 days after his birthday. We said, we see what they're doing here. The horse Sovereignty, born on the day that Russia went into Ukraine and imposed on their sovereignty with this Secretariat connection. I see. Air Force One was created in 47. So now Trump number 47 is doing something never before done with Air Force One, taking it from a foreign nation, a nation associated with terrorism, a region associated with terrorism. Yeah, there's something goofy about this. So, yeah, Buffalo too, just with the whole Trump shooting and the firefighter from Buffalo. And yeah, so if you missed this, there is more to it, but I did a video on this. You can go back. It's from last December. It's from when the news broke. So I just saw this Air Force One story and I said, that is interesting. And you know what else? In light of this little Illuminati connection, right here, remember, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. From this story to him, the news breaking yesterday that he's being gifted this plane, that would have been a span of 144 days. So it's also kind of interesting. Okay. All right, let me see. This thing was Zelensky and Putin. Yesterday, in the headlines, they agree to meet on Mercuralia, the day to remember Mercury, the trickster. Of course, this war has been a whole trick on the American people, costing us a lot of money. Trick on the world, really. It's costed more than the American people a lot of money. It's costed a lot of people all over. They blamed inflation, rising energy prices, governments having to give away more money, which leads to more taxation on their people. But yeah, the meeting on Mercuralia of all days. And they're going to meet 110 days after Zelensky's birthday. 110 days. That's a Ukraine number. That's a president number. So that's fitting. Ukraine and president both 110. And the meeting, or hold on. I wrote something down. Incorrect there. They are meeting 110 days after Zelensky's birthday. Maybe I meant to write Putin. Let me check this real quick. I think I meant to write Putin because I wrote Zelensky 2 times. Meeting May 15th. Yeah, they're meeting 220 days after Putin's birthday. And remember, Trump's been saying that he's helping bring this to an end. That's a big number of Trump. Donald John Trump, 220. Inauguration days, 220 days after his birthday. It factored into the assassination hoax. A number of other things. So, yeah, 220 days after Putin's birthday, on the day that Trump became the father of the jab in history on Mercuralia. That's happening. So, I got to wrap this up in about 20 minutes. I would like to open it up for phone calls. If you guys have anything to add to these stories or any other stories I might have missed. In fact, I just saw a comment about how there was a significant wrestler who died over the weekend. Maybe I'll take a look at that in real time here. But let me get the phone line open first. If you guys want to phone it is that 509 number, but hold on, I got to get things set up here. Okay, if you want to call in, it is the 509 number, bottom center of the screen, 509-560-4982. And while I wait on that first call, let's see what... Sabu, pro wrestler and hardcore pioneer, dead at 60. $559? $559?
Hey, I got a quick. Yes, sir. I got a quick question about the Diddy trial. Is this a case of, I don't know if you've seen that movie Looper with Bruce Willis and the young guy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He was young at one point in the movie, and then he made some kind of deal or something happened in the future. He was an old man, and then they came for his ass. They busted in the house and came for his ass. Is this a situation with Diddy where he made a deal and said, when I'm old, I'll deal with that and I'll live rich now, and they're coming for him because he made a deal, or is this happening because he sued that De Beers company
Well,
because they're so
here,
powerful?
let me get you caught up on what I've already gone over a bunch of times about this. It's what
Yeah,
you said first. Again, like I said, go back to 1998 when he performed on Saturday Night Live next to Jimmy Page, the song "Come With Me." He said, "Watch me rise, watch me fall." He did that next to a 54-year-old Jimmy Page, and that song was for the Godzilla soundtrack. Godzilla came out in '54. It's just like I told you
yeah.
when he was 53 years old, why it looked like he was going down at 54 because of what happened to Clarence Avant, who died 54 years after establishing Sussex Records, which equals 54, like Jesuit order. It seems quite obvious to
Wow.
me from that performance that he probably knew that watch me rise, watch me fall, and he might have known back then that it was going to happen at age 54 in light of, like I just said, how his performed next to a then 54-year-old Jimmy Page.
Hey, that's kind of interesting that a person would actually make that kind of a decision. That's strange though, but it kind of makes sense when I look at some of these bodybuilders who they say they want to win the Olympia so bad they don't care that they die early. They just want to win it.
I
Maybe
could
that's the
see I
same
could see
type of
all
idea.
kinds. I would, if I had to bet, if the average man was approached and said, "Listen, you want to be a celebrity for the next 30 some years? You're gonna have all the money, all the fame, all the recognition, all the women. You're gonna live as high as anybody's ever lived for the next 30 years. But after that, we're coming back to collect what's due." I'm guessing the average man would say, "Count me in."
And that's powerful, man. He's gotten away with a lot of shit, and then this is very powerful, man. How they can turn people's common sense off as well, through their that German war machine that they had. They called it the media, but yeah, man. Hey, that's all I wanted to know, man. I'll let you go.
What you just said, people should think about that. I used to always think about that. The Nazis made a point to get a radio into everybody's house so they could get their information out. That's why they continue to keep technology so cheap so everybody can have screens everywhere so they can constantly be bombarded with information. When people laugh at the idea of an Illuminati and a thing mind controlling and controlling populace, really the joke's on them. It's like, how don't you see it? Almost everybody is under the spell of the authorities, and almost everybody is getting all their information through the screens, which is telling them what to think at all times. So, yeah, there are
Let me
people.
ask you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I was just going to ask you something else really quickly about the NFL. Now, this Shedeur Sanders, I seen him at a press conference today. He's very polished with how he speaks. Now, you said that anybody that enters into this entertainment field or anything, period, but the ones out front, the entertainers, they may be approached at some point. How do you know to see when a person is like not pure, and that they're actually going along with it? Do you have the eye to see that?
Well, you got to think somebody who's come up, born into it. I mean, his father's a mega sports star. He played in multiple pro sports leagues, music deals. I mean, a lot of that's I always make the point about the sports too that it's a father-son thing. That's why that's the joke of the NBA where they pretend like over half these guys who don't know who their dad is. That's bullshit. It's because their dads are former players in the league. How many guys have the genetics to be nearly 7 feet tall? Not a whole lot. So yeah, I would say he's been groomed his whole life for this. And I was pointing out how run his name Gematria and Colorado Buffaloes. Look at the perfect overlap there. And his name is now the same forwards and backwards as Cleveland Browns. And again, he gets drafted 78 days after his birthday before the Browns' 78th season when Cleveland equals 78. And Cleveland in 78 keeps playing hard, especially on Sunday, which equals 78. Yesterday, the Pacers blew out the Cavs, and Rick Carlisle, their coach, got his 78th postseason win. We've been killing it with Cleveland in 78 every Sunday. It's been playing almost every single weekend this year. They've had a 78 ritual in Sunday with sports. And I got to go back and look, but I think Sanders, did he get drafted on a Sunday or was it a Saturday? I got to go back and double check that. I know he got drafted 78 days after his birthday.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Would you bet that he is aware of this, or is all this stuff just happening and being planned around him?
I don't know if at the end of the day, if he has the script that he's gonna fall to the. Again, he fell to the 144th pick of the draft. His dad's birthday is the day leaving 144 days left the year. But yeah, for everybody who's looking, Deion Sanders, 61 forwards, 83 in reverse. Look at Cleveland Browns. Same thing, 61, 83. And hold on, let me check something real quick. His birthday is the 38th day of the year, like Colorado's the 38th state. Colorado 38th state. And did you see the image his father just put out with the mother, his mother, which would be Shader's grandmother?
I did not.
I'm gonna put this up because it's creepy looking. And I saw his mom is born on March 8th. I'm thinking Deion Sanders' mother, Shader's grandmother. I'm thinking her time is short. I don't know. This picture doesn't look right to me. So. And it's just like, it's crazy because her birthday, March 8th, 3-8, it reminds me of the other date that's like 3-8 is August 3rd. The guy who got drafted 21st overall by the Steelers, right after he gets drafted, his mom's dead 38 weeks after his own birthday. So
that does look weird, man. That looks weird right there. Wow. Why the red? Why the
well,
red?
I'm guessing it's because for his Atlanta Falcons colors, because it looks like there's about a shoe that was when he was with the Falcons, but still, I'm looking at that and just the looks on their face, it doesn't look right to me.
It doesn't look happy. It looks like very something negative, like a negative energy. Is that what makes you think that her time may be short because of the look on their faces and the way maybe he's standing above her and she's I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
do you know what day this image was put out?
When was that?
What's one of those numbers they always stamp on Black History?
Black History. Well, first the month is only 28 days in the month. You say 42 is a correlation with
well, 31 plus 28. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year, right? Slave 59. They put out that photos from May 9th, 5/9. And it's like how Motown came out in 59, Bad Boy Records 59, you know. So
Negro is 42, but slave
no,
is 59?
Negro is 59, just like slave. Nigger is what's 42. Slavery is also 42.
Did you design this thing right here? Zach, the Geometriator, did you create this?
Derek built this in 2016 based on my work. He originally built it as a thing for Excel, and I said, you got to figure out how to make this a website. So Derek found my work at the end of 2016, and then he got inspired by it, so he made this calculator.
Man, that seems like a lot of work. That's very good tool right there to use for you, man. That's a very good tool. One other thing I wanted to ask you before I let you go about Kobe Bryant really quick. Now, I know, you did the whole thing about him. He did a weird ass commercial that I've seen. I forgot. It may have been 2014 or something where it was kind of like it was a Nike commercial. It was like a dark
Black Mamba, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Man, you should read my book. That's all. I have a whole chapter on Kobe's death covering that movie. The movie poster, right in the movie poster, the tagline is "Lose this road game, you don't go home." That tagline equals 157, like Kobe Bryant, like he died on the 157th day of his age, one day after his Lakers lost in his hometown Philly, as LeBron passed him in points scored, dropping Kobe to 4th all time when 4 is the number associated with death. I wrote all about that. That's in a book. So.
Did Kobe, is this the same thing with Diddy, that he made a decision that his time would come?
Well, when we talk about Kobe, Kobe's dad just recently died by the numbers on the same day that LeBron's dad died by the numbers. LeBron's dad was Nate Thurmond. Again, Kobe's dad was a pro basketball player. So Kobe was born into it.
Wow. But you couldn't say for sure that, even though he's a great basketball player, that they approached him and he made a decision that his time would come in the way that it did. He would live the high life.
Honestly, when it comes to Kobe, I don't think Kobe's dead. Because go back and watch that film that you're talking about, Black Mamba. It ends with Kobe with a big shit-eating grin on his face going, "Legends never die."
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
if I had to bet, I'd
Exactly,
bet that
man.
Kobe is not dead. Plus, again, go back and just look at the story that day. They show the helicopter he took off in from John Wayne Airport, and then they show the helicopter that's crashed in the middle of the dirt field. Those aren't even the same helicopters. So where's any proof that any of this happened?
What about Michael Jackson? I've seen a picture of him like in 2020, and somebody said this is Michael Jackson. He had gray hair. His face looked exactly like Michael Jackson. They said he's not dead and he's living on some island somewhere. This was in 2020, and everybody was in home, and people were coming out with some wild shit about these people that were executed, and there's a list of people, celebrities that were executed. I don't know if you know about all that shit, but they said that Michael Jackson is not dead.
Have you
I
ever
don't know
seen
if
the,
you
Have
know
you
about
ever
that.
seen the Dave interview on Larry King?
No.
Look it up. Dave. Just look it up and watch it, and then you be the judge. Is that Michael Jackson in makeup? Because it sounds like Michael Jackson.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy, dude. Hey Zach, man.
Hold on.
This is very.
Have you seen Jesuit educated Denzel Washington's Equalizer movie series?
I loved it.
Okay, so that's another guy supposed to be dead, right? He's supposed to be dead. How many people are supposed to be dead that aren't really dead? You could understand why Michael Jackson would
Yeah,
want to be dead. I mean, he lived his whole life as an entertainer. He probably just want a break. Let me live the last 20 years of my life in peace.
yeah, yeah. Very, very interesting, man. What you do is very interesting, man. I'm gonna keep following you and try to get deeper into this. Which book do you suggest I read first? The Number Games or the your other book series,
Well, it
the
depends on what
Numbers
you're
and
into.
Letters?
If you're into the Kobe death, you should read Number Games because there's an 80-page chapter on his death. If you're trying to learn more about
And
Gematria
if
and why
I
they do this, you should read Letters and Numbers because it's more of an introductory and just explains the why.
okay,
And just for the
okay,
record,
I'll
I've
do
made them
that.
free to download as ebooks if you just want to read them on a device. You don't have to buy them. I've made them free to download. I'm going to let somebody else get him real quick, though, because I got to get off. But I appreciate the
All
call.
right,
Thank you.
all right, guys. All right.
What's up, 252? Oh, hold on. It's not. Hold on. We should be good now. Go ahead, 252. Hello?
Yeah, can you? Oh, I thought you said hold on.
No, now you're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to talk about something real quick. So I'm sure you're aware that Pope Francis was the one who made this new Pope Cardinal Deacon back in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, I covered that.
Okay. And did you cover how much longer it was after that he died?
I do believe I covered that. Did you have an observation? I didn't. Go ahead. What did you see?
I mean, well, I was just saying you let me know because I really can't keep up with. Um, I was just talking about the 104 piece. He literally dies September 30th, 2023, at the time of the 104th NFL season. Pope Francis created him Cardinal Deacon. Cardinal Deacon equals 104. So does Roman Catholic Church, of course. And Pope Francis's death came 569 days later. That's the 104th prime number.
I think I overlooked that 104 piece. So yeah, that's good. Those are good connections.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but think about it in light of, remember what was going on at the time of September 30th, 2023? That was the start of the 104th NFL season. That was when all the buzz was around getting this 10-4 message alert sent to everybody's phones. And it was even like stretching out. I think you covered that Russia did it like they did it on like maybe like 10:40 p.m. or like it was something with the time over there. But now it really makes sense in light of why the 104th NFL season was on the Vatican's birthday. And then them doing that 569 days later with Cardinal Deacon having that relationship with the number 104, and so is Roman Catholic Church. So yeah, the 569 days is really just what I wanted to bring up, which was just, yeah, that was crazy to me. I didn't know if you covered that.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I did look at the day that he appointed him to his position, but I don't think I caught all the 104. So that's a good addition. Well done.
Yeah, 569. Yeah, that definitely. definitely intrigued me. But what's one thing else I wanted to talk about that I just realized a few nights ago that you talk about they always encompass number 59 and 76. Do you know that water fountain equals 59 and 76?
Oh, about how they made different people use different water fountains. Funny.
Exactly. That's a key detail we learned in school. Growing up in school, that's a key detail was that the first three things they tell you is, yeah, they had different bathrooms, different schools, and different water fountains. And then all the classmates go, you know, out of all those 3 points on the board, I can promise you, in a classroom full of kids, the first thing they're going to turn to their neighbor and go is water fountains. What? They couldn't even drink out of the same water fountain. What?
Right.
Just water. You know, so like it's just like it just seeing that, and you know that strange fruit equals 59 to 76.
I think we have covered that one in the past, but that's a good reminder. Yeah, I think in the past I have definitely brought that up, but that's one that should probably be brought up every time. Yeah.
Yeah, that should definitely be included. Definitely. That should definitely be included in the list. But yeah, that was just crazy intriguing to me that seeing that water fountain, because I was front and center in the first class participating in those combos where we're like, what? Like, is it this serious? And then, you know, you find out these types of things later on, and it's just like, wow, these people, like, that's just crazy. That is crazy to me.
Indeed. Yeah. Excellent observations as always. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. I just wanted to call in about that. But yeah, you have a great day.
Hey, you too. Thank you. 760, you're gonna want to mute your video. You're on 760.
Hey, how you doing? I was just calling in. I was just wondering to find out why isn't Gematria into the school curriculum?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it should be. It should be.
I think so too. I've been studying for a couple of years, and this is amazing how people say that Gematria is nonsense. You can't make up words. You can't make up numbers. Can't do none of that stuff. So that's why I don't understand why they are so much in disbelief of it.
It is very annoying to me. I think it's because our schools are really indoctrination centers. They indoctrinate people. They don't really educate them. And I mean, if you're in school today, you'll hear a lot from your teachers like, I'd be careful about anything you hear on the internet. A lot of bad information on the internet. Stick to the official news sources. Stick to the authorities. It's like, well, the news and the authorities are the ones that are often lying to you. And I agree. There's a lot of BS on the internet, but you got to have discernment. I feel like what I present on a daily basis is undeniable, and I don't know why so many people struggle with it.
It is.
So.
It is. I agree with you. When I learned about Gematria, I did it myself first, and I was in tears, man, because it was telling me so much truth that I've done in the past and all types of stuff. So it's like it's undeniable. It's very undeniable.
Yeah, it's very redundant too. That's why, because I mean, I've been here for almost 12 years now, showing the same stuff over and over, and that's what I feel like that should break through people's hard-headedness. Like, how can this keep happening over and over by the same patterns if it's just a coincidence?
Right. It's just I just had to call in. Normally I wouldn't try to call in, but I've been watching for a while. You know, I support the Gematria. I really do, because it changed my life drastically. You know, it felt like I came out of darkness. You know, the veil was lifted from my eyes of this world.
Again, it is quite revealing. The occult associates knowledge with light, and that's where the whole 201 thing comes from in the first place. Is in Hebrew that 201 represents enlightenment. And you can see how they've encoded it in the Illuminati, and you can see how they use it in these rituals as they play people for fools every day. It's just like one of the biggest things that happened most recently in U.S. history was the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and they had to do that on John the Baptist's birthday, but also Freemasonry's birthday, and a massive 201 ritual. And then the thing that it kills me how they get away with the surface thing, because if you don't understand all that, you should still see how the news every day is saying this is going to impact black women the most. and the case is Dobbs versus Jackson, and they've just installed Ketanji Brown Jackson as the first black woman on the Supreme Court at the exact same time. It's like, what aren't people seeing with this? You don't see the mockery in all this? How?
I just think that out of certain people is really a spell over the world. For, you know, the ones who know and for the ones who don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And honestly, when I found out about this, I started to really think about that, because I started saying it when I was 18 when 9/11 happened. I said, I feel like everybody's under a spell. Like I live in a Disney movie and somehow I'm immune to the spell, because I don't know how everybody's falling for all these lies and they can't see through George W. Bush being the first Republican since his dad. That doesn't sound democratic at all when the election comes down to a state where his brother is the governor. I was dumbfounded when I was that age. I was like, I can't believe this country I'm living in, and I'm bringing these points up about Bush, about 9/11. Everyone's treating me like I'm crazy. And that's what I'd say all the time back then to the few people I could talk to. I'd say, I feel like this country is under some kind of spell. And then I learned about this little Kabbalistic thing and how it is about sorcery and spell casting. I started saying, wow, words, language. We use the word spell for magic and for creating words. Maybe people really are under a spell.
And they don't really get it that. And I try to tell people, look out for certain numbers. It's always going to be on the news. It's always going to be broadcasted. These certain numbers do not change, you know. And when you look at the news, something like you point out, the numbers are there and they do not change.
They're very consistent in what they do. Absolutely. Or they'll put a number out there like, you've never seen 125% tariffs before, but you've been seeing that for weeks now. And now this trade deal on 12.5, I mean, that should stand out to everybody.
Well, one thing is what I do is I always break the numbers down into single digits, you know? So it's an origin point from what I believe of everything. You know, so if you can break down those numbers and bring them into single digits, then you can actually find out who the origin of these numbers come from.
Yeah.
If you kind of understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. Yeah. And that's what I spent the last 12 years trying to figure out, is who exactly is doing this. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at that. So, but people want to disagree there too.
Yeah, you have. You have. And I tip my hats out to you. I try to support you the best way that I know how.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for your time. I don't want to take up any more of your time because I'm pretty sure you have more people that's trying to get through. But I love your work and I thank you. And keep going, man. It's either you're doing it, and I know you're doing it for the people who understand it and for the ones who's coming new to the table so they can have more understanding. And I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the work, and thank you for calling in today. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You have a great day.
You too. Thank you. All right, last call because I got to go get Sweet Girl after this. What's up, 480? Oh, hold on. I messed up on the audio again. Keep hitting the wrong button. All right, we should be good, 480. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing about that Cebu wrestler that just died, I was like checking him out. He was brought out by a guy named 9/11. And with Trump supposedly getting this plane today, and with all these plane crashes, I haven't like looked into it more, but it's just kind of interesting, some things to like dig into. He was brought out by a wrestler.
There was a wrestler called 9/11?
Yeah, and then his other nicknames was the Sledgehammer, Tombstone, and something AI.
All right.
Yeah, look up 9/11 wrestler, and he brought out Cebu into his wrestling matches, like he was his handler.
Well, here's what definitely stands out without even knowing that piece is he's dead at 60, right? We know Donald Trump equals 60. He just won the 60th election. We know what he did 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Nation year with all those headlines that day, including his ex-wife being dead. This was in the news on the same day that there was so much focus, Sunday, of Trump going on this Middle East trip, and he's the wrestler with this big Middle East image. So, and again, Trump's associated with wrestling. I mean, he's been in WrestleManias and hosted many events and been in the ring with Vince McMahon. So, yeah, there's obviously a parallel with Trump's Middle East trip here. I wish I knew more about wrestling because I can only say so much because I just never even understood why people ever watch wrestling.
Yeah, either do I. I just was just Googling stuff and was just like, wait, he was brought up by a guy named 9/11? Like, with Trump trying to get a plane today. You know, I don't know. Just
Damn, look at the guy's name too, you guys. His birth name, Terrence Michael Brunk, 201, 93.
I'll let you check it out.
Dead on a Sunday. The sun's
Oh, man,
93 million miles away. Order of Illuminati, 201 and 93. And he's dead. The other thing I realized, so Order of Illuminati is 201 and Illuminati's 150. He's dead 150 days after his birthday. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do more work on this. Somebody left a really great comment. Somebody left a really great comment, and I wish I would have took a screen capture. I don't think I did because I'm trying to find it. If you're the person out there who left the great comment and did all the research on this man's death, if you could post that again somewhere. YouTube might have scrubbed your comment, unfortunately. And again, if you guys don't mind leaving your great comments actually on my website, they're not going to get deleted there. It's actually a better place to leave a great comment than YouTube because YouTube does delete comments all the time. Go ahead, 480.
Oh, and then with the Sanders thing, like being on the news today, you know, and then it's 78 connection and the 144, that's at, 12. You know, like both of those have connections to 12, you know, with him. And then also 12 is the 21st composite number, you know, today's the 12th and 21's the moon number. So I don't know what connections are there, but it was just something I just noticed too. But I know there's something else with that stuff too. But
the May 11th, the May 11th date can be written 115. It's a reminder that the last election was on the other 115 date, November 5th. And it's also a reminder that Trump, the first time he ran for office, his campaign lasted 511 days, and he took office with the 115th Congress. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do a proper post on this and more research. I gotta go right now. I don't have time, but
yeah, for sure. All right.
Yeah. All right, man.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, Fordo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody left a really good comment on this because I read over it. I was just now trying to find it and share it again, but I'm not seeing it. So anyway, I do got to go get Sweet Girl. It's time to pick her up. And well, I'll take one more call real quick. 202. What's up, 202?
How you doing, Zach?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, Zach?
Doing all
Hey, I
right.
just want to comment on the other caller that was mentioning how the Michael Jackson and the Dave guy look like each other. Have you ever looked into Andrew Tate and Anton LaVey? How they're both from Chicago and they both look like each other. And have you ever looked into that, their connection?
I haven't. I know Andrew Tate says his dad was in the CIA, though. I know that much.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally the definition of controlled opposition. I mean, after I found out that his dad was in the CIA, I mean, that really kind of just sealed the deal for me. But it's Anton LaVey and him looking like each other and them being from Chicago. I mean, I was just raising an eyebrow, you know. So I don't know if you ever looked into their connection, but anyways, that was all.
I'll take a look at it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, take care. I see this wrestler. They didn't give him much of a write-up for his death. Brunk died at age 60 on May 11th. It's like, wow. That's it, huh? But yeah, it's a reminder, you know, people die for other people on the world stage. It's obvious this has everything to do with Trump. And there have been quite a few people connected to Trump over the years, as we covered, including his ex-wife, which was the most obvious of all, his brother on the Jesuit order's birthday, his sister, who was a lawyer for Reagan, died last year, or 2 years ago now. I got to go back and double check that. I want to say she died on Aleister Crowley's death anniversary, but I might be crossing her with somebody else. Anyway, I do got to go get the Sweet Girl. So thank you to the super chatters. We raised $6.52. Thank you, Paula the Kitchen Witch. She did a membership. So did Rick James. They always match each other. Appreciate that. Open Up said today is the flower moon, which equals 55, going with that whole numerology thing. Wakey369 said legend. Thank you. J.K. Garland said the work has always been on point. Thanks, teacher. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for listening. I wish more people would. All right, you guys. King Richard says the wrestler died 47 weeks after Trump's birthday. Yeah, go figure. Go figure. Yeah, I will do a post on that, and I'll probably talk about it next time we have a live stream. And if somebody did leave a great comment out there about this man's death, because I know somebody did, if you can copy and paste that comment, hopefully you already have it copied somewhere. If you don't mind re-leaving it under this video once it posts, let's hope Google leaves it there. That would be excellent. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. I might do a little bit more today. It all depends. But if not, I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow. A lot of people said, why didn't you do anything yesterday? Sweet lady wanted full attention on Mother's Day yesterday. That's why. So it was all about Sweet Lady on her first official Mother's Day yesterday. All right, True Seeker. Till next time.